think that's all I have. Any questions I can answer for you all?
We got a couple real quick ones.
Yes, sir.
The raccoon eradication device, that was, you say, September of last year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The fix that was made, I mean, that was intended to be a temporary fix?
No, well, actually, no, the fix that is being made is a permanent fix.
I meant the fix that was made at the time of the electrocution of the rodent. That there was a fix made there to get power restored.
Oh.
That was a temporary fix, and now we're making a permanent fix. Lo, these 9 months later.
Actually, let me back up, and I won't have all the pieces, I'm afraid, since I wasn't here. The repairs to the structure were a fairly quick operation.
Mm-hmm.
The power, there's only 2 circuits that come out of that substation, and they've been handled by substation 2. When I first got here, I thought, oh my gosh, we've got to get this done quickly, but having had lost some exposure, the substation 2 is robust enough to carry those 2 circuits until we get into, the dead of summer.
Right. Well, then, yeah, that's starting later this month.
It's coming very quickly. Yeah. Yes, time's on us.
The other thing, the gas line in question, I've been to some electric utility board meetings. I've heard talk about this before. Is this something that has been brought to our attention before about issues with the gas transmission line?
Yes, they've been working. At one point, Electrica was trying to get rid of it. It was trying to sell it off to basically a gas company. At one point, the only real offer they had, they said, yeah, we'll be happy to take it off your hands, but you'll commit to paying for any relocation that will be necessary. And, but yes, it's something we've got to deal with, and we have to accept the fact it's ours.
The problems that we're having with it, we're not going to have some unscheduled concussive release of product, are we?
No, we're not.
Okay. I had a friend that worked at Feral Gas. They like to say that instead of explosion. So, okay, very good. Any other? Dave, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other updates from staff or council? Cheryl, I believe you've got something?
Yes, Mayor, Council, I have an update. The police chief offered his resignation effective today.
Okay, thank you. All right. Council, anything for staff?
I have something, Mr. Mayor. I know that I was not here last week when the discussions regarding Mr. Fotovich's residency were taking place, and I know that Tory had offered a motion to censure. I had actually had in mind a more formal means of doing so. So I've got a piece of paper here that I'd like to distribute out to the members of the council and to the clerk.
Okay. I appreciate this. While you're distributing this, I would like to say that Councilmember Harrison, who had to leave unexpectedly, I happen to know that she's got strong feelings about this. When Tory made a motion last time, Councilman Freeman did not second the motion, only because you were not here to discuss it. I kind of wonder if maybe we ought to extend the same courtesy to Council President Harrison. That's all I will say about that.
That is up to the governing body to determine, and I will stand for. I'm going to read this resolution. I'm going to make a statement, and then I will put it up for the rest of the governing body to consider. This is a resolution to censure City Council Vice President Larry Fotovich for conduct detrimental to the spirit of the office of council member of the City of Gardner, Kansas. Whereas Councilmember Larry Fotovich was elected to the Gardner City Council in the election of April 4th, 2011, and whereas Mr. Fotovich was elected by his peers in the council to serve as Vice President of the Council on April 15th, 2013, and whereas Mr. Fotovich has relocated his family since to a new primary residence in Olathe, Kansas, And whereas Mr. Fodovich has put his vacant residence in Gardner on the market for sale while still claiming it as his primary residence. And whereas the City Council acknowledges that although Mr. Fodovich has a legal right to retain his seat, as Council Vice President, he should be sensitive to the ethical questions of keeping his seat in the city that he no longer intends to live in, given the preceding facts. And whereas Mr. Fodovich, in his capacity as City Council member, will likely vote on issues that concern both the City of Gardner and the City of Olathe, namely water and annexation agreements, and his family's residence in Olathe creates questions as to whether he would vote in the best interests of his constituents in Gardner. Now therefore be resolved by the governing body of the City of Gardner, Kansas, that Council Vice President Larry Fodovich is hereby censured for conduct which has been deemed detrimental to the spirit of representation of the constituents of the City of Gardner, Kansas, and be it further resolved that the Council requests that Mr. Fodovich resign his seat as soon as possible so that another qualified elector of the city may assume that seat. And there is no, what would be the resolution number, Leslie?
Is this, point of order, is this on the agenda?
No, it is not. It's part of council updates, but I'm going to ask
I don't
the
believe
City
you can put
Council,
a resolution on the last minute, can you?
with a majority of the council members' approval, yes, I can.
I think the mayor actually controls the agenda, so it's up to you, Mr. Mayor, as to whether you want to allow the action item or not. Just because it's not on the written agenda doesn't mean it can't be amended at the meeting.
That's correct. We just did that with executive session.
I'll allow it, but I'll restate my statement earlier about
Certainly.
Council President Harrison not being able to stay for the duration of the council meeting this evening. But with the resolution introduced, we would be allowed for discussion about it, unless someone wants to make a motion, at which point a second would still get you an opportunity for discussion, or we could discuss now. That's up to the members of the City Council.
What is the resolution number?
I'm sorry, sir, we are looking right now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about, all right, well, correct.
It won't be long.
Okay. Well, I'll make my statement while we're waiting for the resolution. The statement is this. I know that there is some concern, and I know that Mr. Fodovich has already spoken at length about the questions of legality, or no lack of question of legality regarding his filling of the seat. And I have identified, or I've come on the side of Mr. Fodovich in saying that yes, he has every right, legal right, to reside in the seat. Larry's a good guy. He and I have had differences on policy, and we've had some nice arguments on the dais, and but we've also united on issues that have been passionately supported by the both of us, including the truck routes situation on the south side of town. I have no doubt that Larry cares about Gardner. I think he does care about this community. I think he asks questions that a lot of council members don't like to ask, or don't feel like they can ask. He is one of those people that has the guts to ask the difficult questions, and I appreciate that. This has nothing to do with his effectiveness as a council member or whether or not I like him. I like Larry, okay? It really comes down to, the spirit of the seat versus the law. And the law is very clear in that you have to prove intent, you have to prove action. Proving intent is virtually impossible, and I've already talked to this many times. Okay, and from a legal perspective, Larry has every case in the world and every reason in the world to stand his seat. But I know that if I were in a similar situation where I had if I had moved my family to Wellsville or to Olathe or to Overland Park, I know that Larry would be the first person who would be asking the question, why are you still remaining on the council? And so I feel that knowing that, and knowing that he's asked questions in the past about individuals residing in the city that shouldn't stay on the council or shouldn't stay in city government, I have